Who's lucky enough to work for, and everybody that I'm lucky enough to work for, I think the city and the region is being well served. I know that there are people listening today who may have sat in their cars for hours to buy gasoline. I know it's frustrating, and police officers had to be posted at service stations to keep order. I ask everybody to be patient, and I can also say that this should be much less of a problem in the coming days, both because the subways are now back in service, other developments. As it has been reported earlier today, National Guard units are providing motorists and people needing fuel for generators with free gasoline at 4 armories in our city and also at the armory in Freeport on Long Island. There is a 10-gallon limit per vehicle. The locations in New York City are the Queens Armory at 93-05 160th Street in Jamaica, the Bronx Armory at 10 West 195th Street, the Brooklyn Armory at 1579 Bedford Avenue, and the Staten Island Elizabeth Armory at 321 Manor Road. Last night, the Buckeye Pipeline, the interstate gasoline transmission line serving New York City, pushed 100,000 barrels of fuel into our city, the first major influx since Sandy struck. The supply is continuing to flow, I'm happy to say, and will begin finding its way to retailers. One of the big problems we've had is that while gasoline is a fuel, you can't get it out of the ground and into your car unless there's another kind of fuel that's called electricity to drive the pumps. And as electricity comes back, the pumps start working, and you'll have more options to find gasoline. As I have cautioned, it may take a few days before you see the real effects of this additional supply at your neighborhood service station, but there should be considerably less congestion on roads from here on out. And once again, like everything else, there's lots of different people that were involved in getting the refineries going again, the pipeline going again, the harbor. Coast Guard played a big part. Secretary Napolitano was helpful in getting the Jones Act suspended, so we have some more ships on their way with gasoline, and I'm optimistic that in a couple of days the shortage will disappear and relatively quickly, but it just does take a time to get the fuel from where it starts to where we need it. On Monday, public schools for nearly 1 million students will be open. To put this in perspective, to educate our 1.1 million students, there are 1,750 schools in the city. They're in roughly 1,400 different buildings. The vast majority of them will be open tomorrow, on Monday, day after tomorrow. It is just terribly important that our kids get back to school. They've missed a week of school, and this is their future. Very hard to catch up to. We do know that there'll be 65 schools that we won't be able to open. They include 8 schools where emergency shelters are located, as well as 57 schools in 40 buildings that sustained real damage during the storm. On Wednesday, when classes resume after Tuesday, Election Day, remember schools are closed on Election Day Tuesday, so we're talking about opening on Monday for most schools. I'll tell you how to find out which ones in a second. No school on Tuesday, and then Wednesday. And we think that a lot of the schools that we cannot open on Monday, we will be able to open on Wednesday. There are about 178 schools still without power. We hope that many of them will have power and be open for classes on Monday, so I can't give you a number, but we think it will be significantly less than that. Parents and students can get status updates about them and about all the schools by going to the Department of Education's webpage at nyc.gov, by calling 311, by texting the words NYC Schools to 877-877. Robocalls, which is us actually reaching out, have already started to parents. Principals and parent coordinators are reaching out directly to their parent communities. We are running full-page ads in several of Monday's daily papers with school closure information, and I also urge parents to follow the news on radio, television, and other sources. It is difficult to find out if it's your school for your kid. We're doing everything we can to reach out to you, but it would be helpful if you sort of reached into us, particularly if you are in an area where your child goes to a school where you know it's near the coastline and there's a possibility that there was damage done during the hurricane. We expect 96% of the school buses to be running on Monday morning, although please bear in mind that because of downed trees or other storm debris on the streets, there may be some delays in making student pickups. There also may be backup drivers filling in, and with students going to different schools sometimes where we've had to move people out of one school The routes that we have established with great thought sometimes don't work, and it'll take a little while. So if you're late, stranded, delayed, we are trying our best. Our objective is to get as much done as we can, even if it does require us to adjust as we go along. The city's Department of Education is also, you should know, calling up a reserve of substitute teachers to make sure that all classrooms are covered. Sometimes we're going to have to move students from one school to another school that isn't their first school. It can go across from one county to another. It can go down the street. It can go into another building. It's not an optimal situation, but when you have this number of schools that you can't use, we don't have that kind of vacant schools. The good news is lots of people want to go to our schools, and we're always struggling. No matter how fast we build classrooms, we don't have enough. So if some of those are out of order or unavailable, it just puts more stress in the system. We will have a seat for every child.